Good morning, friends. It's your boy Moog. This is Wake Up Wyoming for November 30th, 2017. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm still down in the beautiful red desert of Utah, staying warm, getting out, having fun, enjoying my life, and trying to stay on top of the news. Wow, there sure is a lot going on. Not surprisingly, lots of bad news out there, but there's some good news out there too. So let's get right into it. Waiting for an audience to build here. Um, Big thanks. While we're waiting, we got 10 viewers. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in. Big thanks to Jeffrey Robinson and Rhino Bossier for supporting my work on patreon.com. Thank you guys so much. Also, big thanks to Greg Collins for letting me know what the snow conditions are like up there in Idaho. Makes it real easy to stay down here in the desert where it's nice and warm. What's up, Lynette Hicks? What's up, Clayton Best? Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks to you as well, Clayton, for being one of my Patreon subs. I know it's been kind of weird with me being on the road. What's up, Helen Ford? What's up, JT Jones? What's up, Jason Eisenhart? Um, Positive things, pasting in a big comment there. Please keep holding on. Great advice from Positive Things. Anybody out there who wants to get the word out, like it, share it, subscribe it. Let's get the word out there. But again, big thanks to Jeffrey Robinson and Rhino Bossier for their support, and Greg Collins for the snow report out of the Idaho area. People can send their prayers and thoughts to my dear friend Peter Hahn. He just had a stroke, and he lost most of his capabilities, hopefully just temporarily, but he's in the hospital. I'm looking for somebody to help with his dog Tito. He's got a lovely Weimaraner named Tito. Peter Hahn, one of the pioneering climbers in Yosemite Valley back in the 60s and 70s, real stand-up guy and a good friend of mine. So if you can say a prayer for my friend Peter Hahn, please do. Peter's an interesting cat. I knew him from Tenon Bar in Jackson Hole, and he's a guy who lives in an RV on the streets of Jackson Hole, so he's kind of outside the system, kind of a renegade, but at the same time, he'd go to coffee with the county prosecutor every morning, so he's kind of protected in that regard, and he was known to share a drink with the city manager at my bar. So send your prayers to Peter Hahn if you can. And again, this wonderful Weimaraner Tito, Peter's dog. Hopefully Peter has a full recovery, but we all know how strokes can be. So if anybody is looking for a Weimaraner out there in internet land, Tito is a real sweetheart, and he needs a home. Moving on to the headlines. NPR drops Garrison Keillor over inappropriate conduct. Couldn't even make this shit up if I tried. Let's get into it. Cutting ties with Keillor will bring several big changes, including a name change for A Prairie Home Companion, which is hosted now by Keillor's successor, Chris Thile. What happened? In an email to the Minneapolis Star Tribune, Keillor wrote, "I put my hand on a woman's bare back. I meant to pat her back after she told me about her unhappiness, and her shirt was open, and my hand went up at about 6 inches. She recoiled. I apologized." Goes on and on. So Garrison Keillor in the crosshairs now. Interestingly, though, just a couple days ago, he defended Senator. On Tuesday, the Washington Post published an essay by Keillor decrying calls for Minnesota U.S. Senator Al Franken to resign over allegations that he groped and forcibly kissed a woman during a USO tour in 2006 before he became a senator. "This is pure absurdity," Keillor wrote, "and the atrocity it leads to is a code of public deadliness." Okay, so pretty interesting there. This whole, obviously sexual assault, sexual harassment of any time is unacceptable. But at the same time, if we live in a world where you can, Garrison Keillor, I don't know. I've always kind of got the vibe he was a pretty good dude. And the fact that he got fired over allegations, what happened to the notion of innocent until proven guilty, right? What's up, everybody? Thank you for all the comments. Appreciate it. Yeah, nice and sunny here in southern Utah. So yeah, Garrison Keillor fired. Strangers in Fiction. I grew up listening to Prairie Home Companion. Thomas Foco chiming in. That makes me sad. I loved Lake Wobegon. What's going on with this world? Well, to read this article, it sounds like the allegations against Mr. Keillor, who's 75 now, aren't really that serious. I don't think I don't know. My gut says is he didn't really do anything wrong, but he was speaking out against this notion of people being attacked and fired and ostracized and alienated based on allegations. Yeah, people should come out if they've been the victim of sexual assault or sexual harassment in the workplace or anywhere, no doubt about it. But at the same time, it's like, what happened to the concept of innocent until proven guilty? And Cindy Mather chiming in, scary that just an allegation can ruin a life, right? Thomas Foco chiming in, accidentally touching a back, come on, right? So, we don't know the whole story there, but it's this interesting trend in the world today where, this guy has been beloved by millions of people for 50 friggin' years. He's been at Minnesota Public Radio. I'm a Minnesotan, so I grew up listening to Garrison Keillor, and now they're tearing him down. This is something we saw with Bill Cosby. This is something we see with a lot of people who are revered as, whether they're like a hero or an athlete. You look at a person like Michael Jackson, had a big positive impact, and then all these allegations came out and they ridiculed him. Same thing with someone like Lance Armstrong, right? Same thing with somebody like Martha Stewart with her whole insider trading thing years ago. The Bill Cosby example is a real obvious one. It seems like the media loves to take these people who have been built up into these heroes, built up into like these archetypes of ideal people, and then tear them down. Anything for ratings, anything for a scandal. Cindy Mather chiming in, I think of how easily a woman can set you up. Remember Frank Gifford, right? So it's just interesting. That's going on in the world today. It's sad to see. Yeah. What do you say? Moving on. Speaking of Lake Wobegon, American farm towns with changing priorities, rejecting industrial agriculture. Meat packers, including Tyson Food and its chicken processing branch, struggle to win support for new plants. Coming out of the Wall Street Journal. That's great. Hopefully, American farm towns get away from all the glyphosate-laden poison, frankenfood, GMO, industrial agriculture nonsense that's killing us all real slow, and go back to actually making healthy food that keeps people healthy, right? There's a reason that so many Americans are fat and sick and dumb and lazy, and it has a lot more to do with the food we're forced to eat than personal shortcomings of the American people. So that's that. Moving along. Another headline we had there today coming from Ars Technica. Websites use your CPU to mine cryptocurrency even when you close your browser. Resource draining code hides in pop-up windows that can remain open indefinitely. So yeah, that's pretty wild. There's a service called, what's it called? I think it's called CoinHive or something like that. Let's see. CoinHive. That's not going to work. I can't search it. But that's the article there. Long story short, they can get into your CPU via a hidden pop-up window and use it to mine cryptocurrencies. Fotini Trianfintulio, sorry if I mispronounced it. Do you have information on 5G? I know that 5G is probably not very good for human health. And it's being rolled out all over the world with very little oversight. So that's a bummer. I think we call that one a bummer. Yeah. Cameron St. John saying down with central banks, right? I'm with you 100% there, Cameron. But at the same time, I'm skeptical of these cryptocurrencies that are surging to all-time record highs. Let's take a look at the cryptos. Moving along. Speaking of cryptos, Bitcoin's mining. Okay, here we go. Coming out of Business Insider. The electricity used to mine Bitcoin this year is bigger than the annual usage of 159 countries. Okay, the amount of electricity used to run transactions with Bitcoin. It's a lot of electricity. to run a cryptocurrency, right? To put that into perspective, the amount of energy used by computers mining Bitcoin so far this year is greater than the annual usage of almost 160 countries, according to new research. Okay, that's a slightly misleading tagline. It's not 160 countries total. It's 160 countries individually looked at, right? Research by energy tariff comparison provider powercompare.co.uk shows that the amount of energy expended mining Bitcoin globally has already exceeded the amount used on average by Ireland and most African nations. Okay, it goes on and on. 29 terawatt hours of electricity used to mine Bitcoin compared to an estimated 25 terawatt hours of electricity per year used by Ireland. David Levy chiming in. The mining will destroy the grids. David, great to have you at the show. Right, it's crazy that these new cryptocurrencies are so energy intensive. David Levy also chiming in, 5G is very dangerous. Daniel Reichert wondering, what is 5G? 5G is the next generation, the 5th generation of cell phone signals using shorter wavelengths, microwave wavelengths that, what do? Something like human sweat glands or helical antennas when subjected to 5G. And I don't know. It's interesting. We definitely live in a world, what's the old saying? May you live in interesting times. There's no shortage of interesting things going on. Yeah. Joel Pirtle chiming in. Hey, what's up, Joel? Sorry for being MIA recently. The wintertime sickness struck me hard the past few weeks. Rest up there, Joel. Keep in touch, brother. Cameron St. John chiming in, hydrogen and magnetic mining machines coming soon, 95% more efficient. That's good to know, but at the same time, it's like, what are we really mining? How is this data really worth something? The more I read about cryptos, the more it just seems like a speculative distraction to me. If you want to make some money off it, go for it, but keep a real close eye on it, because bubbles have a potential and a historical tendency to pop. The top 6 biggest mining pools, from Antpool to BTCC, are all largely based in China. Matty Greenspan, an analyst with trading platform eToro, said in an email earlier this month. Some rough estimates put China's hash power at more than 80% of the total network. Okay. So yeah, China. Cryptos. Speaking of China, don't worry though if they're burning all this coal in China so they can mine cryptos. I'm going to get that shadow off of my face. There, is that a little bit better? Coming out of the South China Morning Post, the latest idea to tackle Beijing smog from all that driving around and all that cryptocurrency mining and who knows what else. 15 million people waving giant fans. Chinese internet users have ridiculed the idea after media reported that the inventor has filed a patent application. Can't even make this stuff up. I don't know about you, but I'm grateful that I don't live in Beijing, where the air looks like that and people wear gas masks walking to work. Moving along. That's kind of a joke story. Speaking of Beijing, welcome to Beijing, where helping the homeless can get you evicted. Coming out of the South China Morning Post as well. Chinese migrant worker Yang Che lost the roof over his head when he tried to help those suddenly forced out by a government crackdown on safety. So this goes on and on. Yeah, messed up. You wonder why real estate prices are so high in places like Beijing, Hong Kong. Built into the system, I guess. Fotini with a great comment there. 5G from 1/1/2018 will be in our life totally in Greece. Food, medication, etc. How can we protect ourselves? It's a great question, Fotini. I wish I had a good answer for you. Yeah, I wish I had a good answer. Moving along. I don't know. Speaking of cryptos, though, we're going back to cryptos here. CoinGecko, Bitcoin down 16.7% on the day. Ethereum down 18%. Litecoin down 22%. Monero, which is XMR, down 18%. Dash doing pretty good. Dash Cash, so keep an eye on that. Dash has actually got some pretty good services coming out too, so keep an eye on Dash if you play the crypto game. And Bitcoin Cash down a whopping 24%. If you're not familiar with the trend between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Cash, BCH, is a fork of the original BTC. You know, they say there can only be 21 million Bitcoins ever created, but a few months ago, Bitcoin forked, which means it split into two separate currencies, Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. Now there's Bitcoin Gold and Bitcoin Unlimited. David Levy, a fan of Dash. David, I'm glad we agree on that one. Keep an eye on Dash. Cameron St. John saying time to buy. You know, like I said, I'm not opposed to cryptocurrencies, but I am not a true believer. I'm not dyed in the wool. I've made some money playing with cryptos, but at the same time, you know, when things start going through the roof, that's when my bullshit detector goes off, because if it seems too good to be true, it probably is, right? Yeah, keep an eye on it. Daniel Reichert planning on blowing up 5G networks with shape charges. Daniel, good luck with that. Lots of great comments here. Thank you so much. But anyway, crypto's all over the place. Big dips in the markets today. Again, there are over 1,200 cryptocurrencies. It's effectively an alternative, decentralized stock market of sorts. And I don't know what's going to happen with it. It's going to be a wild ride. Like I said, may you live in interesting times. Fotini saying he's back to 5G. There is no protection. We will become human robots, totally under control. Fotini, I hope you're wrong. I guess if you really want to get away from 5G, you got to get rid of your phone and move out to the middle of nowhere where there's no service. I mean, that's about it, right? You can also do stuff like putting in some electromagnetic shielding materials where you sleep, stuff like that. But, you know, we're bathed in this electromagnetic field. There's really not too much we can do beyond totally dropping out of the system. And as much as we'd like to do that, I don't know. You can see here at the crypto markets, there are now 834 cryptos listed at CoinGecko.com. Again, CoinGecko has been experiencing DDoS attacks. Now they have Cloudflare protecting them, so that's interesting. Placo here, 20.4K. You know, I had this little sand coin. I was going to do a little sketch here today, a little sketch where I was telling people to buy into sand coin because I've only got one sand coin and it can inflate, blah blah blah. And I was going to crush it and show you the sand just fall through your hands. But who knows what's happening? Long story short, with cryptos, keep a good look at those if you want to try to make money off that. David Levy, stay away from Coinbase. I think that's good advice. Coinbase seems like it's got outrageously high fees. If people are playing cryptos, I'm curious to find out what services you use to buy them. I've bought them through local Bitcoins when I was living in the Bay Area, and bought them through bitcoinofamerica.org. But I'm curious if there's a better service out there. So let me know. Moving along. Speaking of cryptos, the number of new Bitcoin accounts is skyrocketing. A couple days ago, you know, people jumping in. It's going to be interesting. Joel Pirtle, great question there. I don't know, man. David likes Bittrex. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. But key thing here, then, you know, a lot more people are piling into the cryptos now. There's a trend throughout history as these bubbles get bigger and bigger. A lot more people get roped into it thinking that they're going to make a lot of money, and then it bops. So just keep an eye on it. I'm not saying cryptos are bad, but if you're trying to, you know, the average person who's into cryptos right now isn't doing it because they want to end the Fed. They're not doing it because they're opposed to the global banking cartel. They're doing it because they want to make money without having to work for it, right? That's the bottom line. People are doing it due to their own self-interest for the most part. There are some true believers out there. There are some libertarian people like Derek Bros. You know, I had him on the show not that long ago. I've actually got an article from him pulled up today to go into. There are people out there that are activists with the cryptocurrencies, and that's great. I'm all about it. But at the same time, just got to be careful. because it would sure suck to put your whole life savings in cryptocurrencies and then for one reason or another they vanish. Diversify, diversify, diversify. That's right, David Levy. Thank you for your investment wisdom there. True, when people invest, know you can lose it all. That's a fact. So put some play money into cryptos, but diversify. Right? Don't blow your wad thinking you're going to get rich. Cameron St. John, thank you so much. I do still have those rad sunglasses. Let's move on to more headlines here. Speaking of sunglasses, it's bright out here. There. Is that a little better? Let's keep cruising along. What is this that I'm looking at here now? Now I can't see. Morgan Stanley turns apocalyptic on credit. A cycle turn is closer than many believe, says our dear friend Tyler Durden over there at the Zero Hedge. This article here, where the heck? There we go. In a report titled When the Levee Breaks, little throwback to Zeppelin there, strategist Adam Richmond lists the three biggest headwinds for credit as follows. Fed policy should become a material headwind. Markets seem very late cycle, and valuations look extremely rich. So yeah, bubbles in Bitcoin, bubbles in good old-fashioned financial markets. Keep an eye out. Moving along. Lobster found with Pepsi logo tattoo fuels fears over ocean litter. I don't know how this lobster got a Pepsi can tattooed on his claw, but there's a picture of it over at The Guardian. So yeah, don't throw litter into the ocean. Moving along. National Geographic, as usual. I grew up reading National Geographic. I used to love National Geographic. But when I read National Geographic now, I realize it's crap. And, of course, they're going to blame climate change for the extinctions of elephants alongside trophy hunting. Of course, they never mention geoengineering. They never mention weather warfare. And that's a problem. When environmental conditions change, a shift in seasonal rainfall or warmer temperatures, the risk of extinction increases dramatically, even with a healthy population of animals apparently unaffected by trophy hunting, Nell says. So we can all agree with that. We can all agree that, yeah, when the climate changes dramatically and rapidly, that is going to fuck up animals' lifestyles, right? No doubt about it. But if we want to talk about climate change, we got to talk about geoengineering. We got to talk about weather warfare. We have to talk about all the human activities that are affecting our climate, not just CO2. Moving along. Speaking of climate change, coming out of Bloomberg, Moody's warns cities to address climate change or face downgrades. Okay. Communities in Texas, Florida, and other coastal states at risk. Credit rating agency says it's adding climate to credit risks. This is something we've seen. Remember, the climate change agenda is just that. It's an agenda. It's not really designed to save the planet so much as to control the people. Moving along, right? If Moody's, if the big global banking syndicates, if the governments of the world were really serious about getting us off fossils, limiting our CO2 emissions, they would stop investing in these technologies. They would invest in stuff like Tesla Tech, ionospheric power generators, geothermal power generators, wind power, solar power, hydroelectric power. There are so many other things, but instead it's more oil, more natural gas, more pipelines. Sad. Moving on. Good morning, Dory. What's up, bro? Speaking of Moody's was breached by Chinese hackers. The U.S. charges. That's a 2-day-old article. We covered that one yesterday from a mountaintop in Utah. Moving along. Speaking of climate change and geoengineering, Bloomberg is telling us that pulling iron from the brain may offer hope in the Alzheimer's fight. But I have to wonder, why don't they address aluminum in the brain? When everybody who dies with Alzheimer's, if they get an autopsy and they check out their brain, they usually find a whole shitload of aluminum in their brain. And aluminum linked to the geoengineering patents, showing up in rainwater and air testing. Alzheimer's news today. Extremely high aluminum levels found in the brains of familial familial Alzheimer's patients, January 18th, 2017. Amyloid beta's roles. Amyloid are the plaques in the brain that screw up people's brains when they have Alzheimer's disease. Amyloid beta's role in familiar Alzheimer's disease is more established than its part in sporadic cases. These data indicate that aluminum can contribute to all types of Alzheimer's disease. So, if people are breathing aluminum, well, here, I'll tell you this right away. I know this for a fact. If you eat aluminum, let's say you drank some Pepsi Cola out of a shitty aluminum can, you throw it in the ocean, and somehow it ends up tattooed on a lobster's claw. 90% of the aluminum that you drank is not going to be absorbed by your body because it's going through your digestive tract. It gets bound up with other things in there, and it gets removed, right? But if you breathe aluminum, 90% of that aluminum gets absorbed. So finding aluminum in the rain, finding aluminum in the air, it's in the patents for geoengineering. Maybe we're all breathing aluminum, and maybe it's giving us autism and Alzheimer's disease and dementia and all these horrible things. So, yeah, filter your air. Moving along. Speaking of medical stuff, Trump's nominee for the Health and Human Services should be under criminal investigation, says the Real News Network. Health and Human Services nominee Alex Azar, former president of Eli Lilly, should be indicted for price gouging, not picked to oversee Department of Public Health, says Alex Lawson of Social Security Works. So no surprise there, the revolving door is still lubed up and functioning as intended. Moving along. Speaking of medical stuff, according to the UN, published 2 days ago, about 11% of the drugs in poor countries are fake. London, AP telling us about 11% of the medicines in developing countries are counterfeit and likely responsible for the deaths of tens of thousands of children from diseases like malaria and pneumonia every year, the World Health Organization said Tuesday. So, yep. Drugs for treating malaria and bacterial infections accounted for nearly 65% of fake medicines. So there we go. That's a bummer. Is what it is. Moving on. On to technology news. We're going to take a little look at Facebook, Google, all them. Coming out of Wired a couple days ago. Facebook's new CAPTCHA test. Upload a clear photo of your face. If you want to prove you're not a robot, just submit your picture to their facial recognition software. Okay, that's kind of creepy. So you might see that. Don't be alarmed. It's just Facebook getting more of your facial features dialed in. Speaking of Facebook, Facebook announced it will use artificial intelligence to scan your thoughts to enhance user safety. A few years ago, the idea that artificial intelligence might be used to analyze and report to law enforcement aberrant human behavior on social media and other online platforms was merely the far-out premise of dystopian movies like The Minority Report. But now Facebook proudly brags that it will use artificial intelligence to save lives based on behavior and thought pattern recognition. Wow. What could go wrong is right. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. No big surprise that these tech companies are just teeing off. Coming out of the Wall Street Journal, published yesterday, Amazon plans to send Alexa to the office. What's up, Matthew Kehoe? Thanks for tuning in. You know, we talked about Facebook there and their new technology, trying to detect pre-crime, like the movie Minority Report. Who's in that movie? Scientologist Tom Cruise. And now they're announcing Alexa for Business today. Today they're announcing it. Basically, long story short, virtual assistant Alexa coming to an office near you. We covered it not long ago here at Wake Up Wyoming that a lot of white-collar jobs are going to disappear as artificial intelligence takes over. That's fine with me. I personally don't want a shitty office job, but we got to figure out a way for people to live happy, productive, meaningful lives after their jobs disappear. Moving along to Google. Speaking of tech, overlords. Google seeks to defuse with Russia over website rankings. Google does not change its search algorithm to re-rank individual websites. It said in a letter to Russia's communications watchdog after Moscow expressed concerns the search engine might discriminate against Russian media. Responding to a question about Sputnik articles, Sputnik is a Russian news service. At a conference earlier in November, Alphabet, that's the Google parent company, executive chairman Eric Schmidt said Google was working to give less prominence to those kinds of websites as opposed to delisting them. Okay, no big surprise there. A wake-up news that Google censors content. We covered it not long ago how RT, Russia Today, was getting some flack from the feds. Yeah, support independent media if you can. Fotini, thank you so much for tuning in, brother. You got to go. Take it easy. Thanks to everybody. Thanks for your comments. You hear those birds chirping in the background? It's really beautiful. Really enjoying them. And there they are. Yeah, there's like 10 of them right in that little tree over there. Moving on. What else is going on? Coming out of openculture.com, George Orwell predicted cameras would watch us in our homes. He never imagined we'd gladly buy and install them ourselves. Written, published on November 28th, 2017. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I'm going to go ahead and paste that one into the comments there because it's a pretty good comment. Or it's a pretty good article, I mean. So you see that coming in from Wake Up News. Boop. Go ahead and check that one out, but it's true. And then you got your smartphone. That's got 2 cameras on it. I got my laptop here. That's got a camera on it. I got my desktop PC. There's a web camera there. J. Scott North, thanks for tuning in. Take it easy, bro. Yeah. So it is what it is. Moving along. What do we got here? Speaking of Amazon.com, coming out of the independent.co.uk, Amazon workers working 55-hour weeks and so exhausted by targets they fall asleep standing up. Okay, 6,000 shares there, published not too long ago. Sunday Mirror reporter Alan Selby spent 5 weeks working at the online shop's warehouse in Essex and finished his last shift on Black Friday. A number of workers who could not cope with the relentless targets were attended to by ambulance crews after they collapsed on the job, the investigation found. The reporter, who went undercover, Alan Selby, was told to pack 120 items per hour. Okay, that's a package every 30 seconds, although the target is set to rise to 200 items. Workers are paid £8.20 per hour. Sounds like hell on earth, right? Can you imagine packaging 120 items per hour? And the expectation is that somehow you're going to be able to package 200 items per hour? What could possibly go wrong? And wow, making less than 10 quid an hour. Sad. Other news. Hopefully the robots take over those Amazon warehouse jobs, because that doesn't sound like very much fun. Robots threaten bigger slice of jobs in the U.S. and other rich nations, by Tom Simonite over at Wired, published 2 days ago. Economic think tank McKinsey Global Institute forecasts changes in demand for different kinds of labor across 45 countries as technologies improve to perform physical or office tasks. One key result, robots pose a more immediate and disruptive threat to the U.S. middle class than they do to middle-income workers in less developed countries like India. That goes on and on. So I'm going to paste that one in because that's an interesting one too. Doug Meyer, what's up? Doug Meyer with the comment, put a piece of tape over the camera on your devices. Yeah, every little bit helps, right? I like to stick a little surf wax in the microphone too. Surf wax is good for that. But there's that article. New York Times, if you haven't been following the Trump tax cut thing, it is a fucking joke. Goes on and on here. Many view the legislation not as a product of genuine deliberation, but as a transfer of wealth to corporations and affluent individuals, both generous purveyors of campaign contributions. By 2027, I'm going to paste this one in because it's pretty good. People making $40,000 to $50,000 per year would pay a combined $5.3 billion more in taxes, while the group earning $1 million or more would get a $5.8 billion tax cut, according to the Joint Committee on Taxation and the Congressional Budget Office. Okay, by the year 2027, that's only 10 years away, guys. This Trump tax plan is a giveaway to the wealthy and wicked. So let's fight it as best we can. Get the word out. Contact your representatives and tell them, hey, it'd be nice if you guys would do your jobs. That'd be great. Moving on. Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren proposed a $146 billion Marshall Plan for Puerto Rico coming out of the Intercept. The key thing, more than 2 months after Hurricane Irma and Maria struck Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, half the people there, American citizens all, still have no electricity, Sanders said at a press conference Tuesday morning. Okay, so still, at least half of Puerto Ricans and U.S. Virgin Islanders still without electricity. Pretty ridiculous. Yeah, we covered that. We've covered that one ad nauseum. Once the economy of Puerto Rico is totally decimated, all these people I think that article said 100,000. I think it's more like 200,000 Puerto Ricans have left the island territory already. And their land, their homes are going to be scooped up for a deep, deep discount. I'm not going to say pennies on the dollar, but who knows? Maybe half price, 50% discount by people who can afford to buy assets. So don't be surprised when there's like a Tesla-powered huge Bitcoin mining factory on Puerto Rico, running on solar power 5-10 years from now. By the way, when I say Bitcoin, I mean all cryptocurrencies, all blockchain technologies, not just the original Bitcoin. Moving on. The Sustainable Food Trust, Generation Waste. Why are millennials throwing away so much food? I'll paste this one in. I'm not going to read it. My battery, I'm actually outside here at the library. My battery is dying, and I know y'all want to get into horoscopes, so let's do that. But that one's in the links there. Keystone's existing pipeline spills far more than predicted to regulators. No big surprise there. David Levy dropping in some stock picks. Thank you, David. I'll drop that in there. I don't play the stock market too hard. Derek Bros over at Activist Post. We had Derek on the show not too long ago. Genetically engineered mosquitoes to be released in 20 states. The EPA has approved the release of genetically engineered mosquitoes in 20 U.S. states and D.C. What are the implications of this mass experiment? In early November, the EPA approved the use of mosquitoes, which have been genetically engineered to carry a common bacterium designed to kill mosquitoes to carry dangerous viruses. The company Mosquito Mate. Yeah. So, I don't even know. Genetically modified mosquitoes being released. Everybody wants their scopes, so let's get into that. This is good news. Here's some good news. Tiny home sales are booming. Why it might not be good for business. Maybe we should all get together here at Wake Up Wyoming and make like some electromagnetically shielding off-grid tiny homes. Who's in? I know how to build stuff. We could start a company building electromagnetically shielding off-grid tiny homes. Hit me up if you're interested. I got tools. I got the tools. I actually got some woodworker moving in with me too. David Levy says, sounds good. Again, if you like my work, hit me up on Patreon. Looks like I lost a few patrons this month. That's okay. Yeah, but anybody who wants to help me out with my work, that would be great. I'm making $357 a month. That money, I'm gonna go buy a new cell phone right after this. My screen. Remember, David, I dropped it not that long ago, a couple weeks ago. Now the screen is on the fritz. It works sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to go, if you want to know where your Patreon funds are going, I'm going to go spend $200 on a new smartphone. That leaves us with $157 for the month. And I'm probably going to, I spend it all on food and gas and shit. So if you want to help out my work, you want me to do a better job at this, support me on Patreon. I got all sorts of posts there. I've been kind of lazy with it while I've been on vacation, but I'm getting back into the grind. David Levy sending me a gift. David, is it a cell phone case or a phone itself? I'm intrigued. I love you, David. You're a good dude. Really appreciate it. Jerry Walsh chiming in. Solar power, Tony Holmes. That's good. Matthew Kehoe sounds pretty cool. Susan Hamlin says, if I can have a yurt, I'm in. You know, you could actually shield a yurt pretty easily, I'd imagine. But the fabrics, these kind of Faraday cage fabrics, can be rather expensive. So anyway, moving along. Enough of that. Astrology with Jacqueline Begar. Let's get into it. People want their scopes. Again, my battery is dying. It's telling me I got 11 minutes left. So let's get into it. My first ever Patreon subscriber, Brian Peterson. There's Aries, 4-star day. Use the early part of the day for matters that are dependent on how you project yourself. Later in the day, take a hard look at a money situation that might make you uncomfortable. Recognize your limits and decide if you would like to change them. Tonight, run some errands. David Levy, looking for Libra. David, thank you so much. You're having a 5-star day. And thank you too, Brian. One-on-one relating takes you down a new path to experience excitement, but also a sense of feeling overwhelmed. Time probably will help you adjust. You could be surprised by how you feel once you make an adjustment. Tonight, spread your wings and try something new. So stretch those wings out, David. Jerry Wallace, Scorpio, coming at you, bro. 4-star day. You might be more in tune with a partner than you realize. Sometimes you notice the difference between you instead of the similarities. Don't take this as an indication that you have little in common. It just means that you have different perspectives. Tonight, accept an offer. What else do we got for scopes? I'm scrolling. David sending me a bigger gift. Man, Dick Clayton, you're right. I will definitely put more effort into this show if people will pony up. I guess I should just keep doing hard work. But like, you know, part of the show is like be aware, but don't let it totally destroy your life. You know, when I worked with Mike Rupert, I worked with him for 19 months. I saw what taking the news way too seriously, trying to make sense of the insanity of the world, did to his health. And I don't want that to happen to you or me. So try to have fun with it. Let's see. Moving along. Taurus, that's me. 3-star day. You could be a little down and out until mid-afternoon when you suddenly perk up. Your energy regains force and your smile broadens. People can't help but respond to you. A conversation with a partner could flow easily at the end of the day. Tonight, share news. That's interesting because there's actually a young lady coming down to the desert to see me today. So hopefully my horoscope is on point. Yeah. Moving along. Matthew Key is saying we're going to rock it with Wake Up Work. Appreciate you, Matthew. Bori Black New saying your work's great. Keep it up. You got it, bro. David Levy, Simon, and yes, need to live a bit too. Susan Hamilton saying just do you. All right. I will. I'll keep doing me. And I encourage all of you to keep doing you too. My computer's going to die any second now. It says I'm at 7% battery. So if it just cuts out, well, I should probably wrap this up anyway. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm your host, Max Mogren, here at Wake Up, Wyoming. Clayton Best asking, did you shower? Yeah, I was out like climbing towers for a week, and I showered. And I showered maybe a little too well. Usually I don't use shampoo, but I did. And so I got a heck of a hair monster. Yeah, for my lady friend. So I got to pick these little dreads out of here, get all cleaned up. You know, I did my laundry. I cleaned up my 88 Comanche, and I read the news. And my hair looks exquisite today. So thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to go put a little conditioner in the scarecrow nest here and get on with my day. Stay awake, stay aware, stay optimistic. Enjoy your life. I'm signing off, and